What's going on, guys? Happy Thursday. What the hell day is it? Thursday. Yeah, that's right, Thursday. We are here to predict WWE Night of Champions and AEW Double or Nothing 2023, both pay-per-views this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, back-to-back. As a matter of fact, Double or Nothing, I think, is going head-to-head with that NXT show, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a lot going on this weekend, and we are here to predict the two big pay-per-views from AEW and WWE. We're going to predict them both. I'll tell you what, man, in the two shows, I barely had any title changes. When I first wrote down all of my predictions, the only title change I had between the two shows combined was the World Heavyweight Championship between Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. I'm like, there's got to be more than that. So I went back, altered a couple of my match predictions because even though I think both of these cards look very, very good and have the potential to be excellent, I don't see a whole lot of championships changing hands here. So I made a couple of amendments to my predictions, and I think we might have a pretty good idea what's going to go on here. It'll be interesting to see how my predictions fare on Saturday and Sunday for these respective shows. So I hope you guys are having a great afternoon. We're going to probably knock this out within 90 minutes because I got to head off to work tonight, and we will be here this weekend, of course, reviewing both shows on Saturday. Our WWE Night of Champions review is going to go live. The link is already up on the channel, by the way. I don't think I have it in the description, but it is on the channel. And we're going to be live at normal Winged Eagle time of 6 Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, the same time we went live right now. So that'll probably be about an hour-ish after Night of Champions goes off the air. That's when we'll be up here on Saturday to review it. And we'll be up here immediately following Double or Nothing on Sunday night, which will probably be somewhere around midnight on the East Coast, 9 p.m. Pacific. Will be up here on Sunday night to do a Double or Nothing review as well. So both of those links are up on the channel. Give them a link or give them a save, give them a like, and join us this weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend of wrestling, that's for sure. But we got to predict all this stuff first. So that's what we'll do today. I'm going to cruise over here to the chat while we have just a pretty small amount of people showing up, and say hi to anyone who's here, and knock out maybe a couple of news tidbits. We were here to watch Dynamite together last night, and Tony Khan made his announcement about Collision. It will, in fact, be in the United Center. No announcement of CM Punk, but he did announce that. So that's pretty much a given that the CM Punk return is a go. And Collision is going to be debuting here in less than a month, and that's going to take us into All In. And that's going to be interesting. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But let me just say hi to Chaz Medeiros, and look who's here. Amato is in the house. I want to wish a happy belated birthday to Amato, who turned 107 years old last Monday. Shout him out. He's still kicking, man. Most doctors think he'll make it to 110, so hopefully 3 more years of Amato. That will be great. Good to see you in here. Oh, man, happy belated birthday to you. And it's rare that you get to hang out here, and it's also rare that I'm up on a Thursday afternoon. So I guess that's why. Jay Hammaster, good to see you. Mark Simpson, David Brown, Decimania. We got Zane G. We have JJ Legg. We have Financial Truth Academy, Willie Haywood in the house as well, Beetle 911, a few others kind of slowly rolling into the chat here. Stephen Harris, also good to see you as well. And yeah, should be a fun little stream here. We're not going to waste too much time. Going to try to get into stuff here because as we talk about these matches, it's very likely that I'm going to get sidetracked and start talking about, you know, the feuds and the future and what it could mean and trying to figure out trying to do the Steiner math on all my predictions here. So we better get cooking and going here as quickly as possible. But I did want to mention last night's news coming out of AEW Dynamite, and that is Tony Khan did in fact announce AEW Collision's location, for their inaugural show on June 17th. There was a little bit of speculation after last week, after we thought we were all going to get that announcement at the upfronts and on Dynamite, and then they kind of backtracked a little bit, removed CM Punk from all the promotional material, and Tony Khan said he was going to wait 1 more week to announce the location of the first ever Collision, and that gave us 7 full fucking days of wild speculation, all sorts of different reports, contradictory reports from coming all over the place. Meltzer was saying one thing, Nick Hausman was saying another. The only people I could see that really had a grasp on any of this was Fightful Select, who, you know, was pretty reliable in a lot of their reporting on this, but nobody really truly know what was going on other than something was up with the Ace Steel stuff. And a lot of people made their opinions known about that, myself and a lot of others, saying, you know, if you're about to launch and start a brand new Saturday show, and this is going to be a big part of your future moving forward, I would hate to think that something as fucking trivial of as Ace Steel getting a job or not could somehow jeopardize, this extremely important announcement for your company. So I'm like, whatever needs to be worked out or whatever compromises need to be made behind the scenes, whether it be on Punk's side or Tony Khan's side or whatever, figure it the fuck out, because this is way too big of a deal for it all to collapse at the last minute because of something stupid. I don't think anybody really truly believed that was going to happen, but there's been a lot of stuff that we never thought we would see before that we've seen within the last year. So anything is possible. And given some of the, crazy drama AEW has had dating all the way back to last year's Double or Nothing with MJF, no showing that shit and the flight home, and then he showed up only to get squashed, and then All Out and the Brawl Out and the Scrum and all of the little drama and all of the drama, in the last 9 months leading up to now. We've been waiting for some sort of a resolution or some sort of an announcement on the future of CM Punk and AEW. We've been hearing rumors what likely was going to happen, but nobody was going to know for sure until announcements were made. And then when Tony Khan blueballed us last week by not announcing the location, rumors were running all week long that perhaps if the CM Punk stuff fell through, they'd move the show to Daly's Place and out of the United Center, since tickets haven't even gone on sale for that event anyway. I think they go on sale tomorrow morning. So last night on Dynamite, Tony Khan did announce, and it was kind of reported earlier on in the day, I know Fightful Select had a good write-up on this, that it was all but believed that the announcement was going to be the United Center. They are go for launch, so to speak, and ready to go with CM Punk and Collision and all of that stuff. But it still sounds like there's still a lot of issues behind the scenes that hopefully will work themselves out as everybody gets back to work, back on the same page. AEW starts moving through the summer. Hopefully some of these fences can slowly be mended with some of these parties who aren't allowed to talk to each other. I know they're going to be on separate shows, but they're still going to cross paths. They're still going to share locker rooms. They're still going to do pay-per-views together. It's going to be impossible to keep the Elite and CM Punk away from each other all the time. So hopefully this is the beginning of the true healing process in AEW, and who knows, once we reach the year mark of Brawl Out, once we reach that Wembley Stadium show, which will be coming up right on that 1 year mark of the shit hitting the fan, it would be nice to think that they could have a very, very successful night of wrestling and a successful show for the company that can maybe kind of bring everybody back together. And 1 year removed from all the drama, everybody's back on the same page and getting along better than ever. I think that's best case scenario for Tony Khan and AEW, but I think that's what you have to do in these situations, is hope for the best. So that announcement was made last night. Today on the Double or Nothing media call, Tony Khan elaborated on the deal with Warner Brothers about the Saturday show, and he said that this is an extension of the current deal they already had. It's not a new deal altogether. And I know Meltzer and somebody else was reporting that there was some sort of a new deal going to be signed with AEW and Warner Brothers. Turned out not to be the case. I think they just extended the current deal that they have, and no real details on that deal other than, Warner Brothers is very happy with AEW on TBS and TNT, and they wanted to give them, they wanted more content from them. So that's all good news. Hopefully the Saturday time slot, which is really the only place they can go. They don't want to go head-to-head on Fridays with SmackDown. They don't want to go back to Tuesdays again. They can't go to Mondays, Sundays, or pay-per-view days and shit. So where else can you really go? So they're going to be on Saturdays now, and that will be interesting for a lot of the WWE pay-per-views that are now on Saturdays. So we will have some nights where AEW is going to be going head-to-head with a WWE pay-per-view. It sucks that WWE is really no longer on pay-per-view, and they're on Peacock, because if they were on pay-per-view and the only way to watch WWE shows was to buy them, then I think, Collision and AEW could take some business from WWE. Fans who might normally pay for a show, card doesn't look too good, I'll sit this one out, watch AEW instead. But with Peacock, you don't really have to do that. So fans are just going to have to straight up choose to watch Collision over whatever WWE pay-per-view they have going on, and that might be a tall order as well. But Saturdays used to be a pretty popular destination for wrestling back in the day, especially with NWA and WCW. So, it's kind of cool that there's that throwback and that callback to that. I like the Collision logo with the Nitro style and the Nitro font. All that's very cool. So we will see how it goes. But since Tony Khan announced the first location being the United Center, that's all but guaranteed. CM Punk will be there. Maybe he'll show up on Sunday in Vegas. Maybe. But I doubt it. I think they'll probably save him for the United Center return, and now we have another month to speculate on how all of that goes. But I don't think they would have announced the United Center if CM Punk wasn't going to be coming back in. So we know that his return is pretty much a done deal now. Also want to wish the best to Mercedes Moné at the New Japan Resurgence show. I think it was last Sunday. She took on Willow Nightingale for the New Japan Strong women's title. The winner becomes the first champion. Mercedes did a top rope spot on the floor where she landed awkwardly, possibly broke her ankle. Willow wound up winning the match, becoming the first Strong women's champion, which is great for her, but no real news on Mercedes' actual injury other than it probably was a broken ankle, and that's probably going to put her out for several months. Best of luck to Mercedes. I don't think we touched on that during the watch-along last night, so I at least wanted to mention a couple of those things before we got into our predictions. And I think since Night of Champions is first on Saturday, we're going to start with Night of Champions and our predictions here. Let me cruise to the chat, knock out anybody else that might be chiming in. We've got Ian Dunn in the house. We've got Ibrahim. We've got Mark Simpson, Victor Cologne, good to see you, and Spaz Phoenix chiming in with the nice $11 drop. Appreciate that. Roman Solo, Asuka, Trish, Gunther, Rhea, Brock, and Styles fixing all the WWE championships ahead of SummerSlam is up now for why I picked Styles. Right on. So Spaz has his predictions. Excuse me. Just breathed funny. But I read your fix all the WWE championships ahead of SummerSlam. I'm just under the assumption, because I think if this is not the case, then WWE is on fucking crack. But I'm just kind of under the assumption that Triple H is going to figure this belt shit out, because we have two SmackDown stars fighting for the Raw championship, and two Raw stars fighting for the SmackDown championship, women's championship on the show. You've got a million tag team championships out there right now. We could possibly see Roman Reigns holding 4 championship belts at Night of Champions. This shit is getting ridiculous, and I think maybe before they do that, they want to solidify the World Heavyweight Champion first, get that over and done with, unveil that belt, present the new belt, crown the new champion, get that out of the way, then move on to all of these other ones, because how the fuck can you have your Raw and SmackDown? I just get so pissed. But yeah, we're going to talk about that too as we go through the predictions here. And I think that Spaz might be right on that. And I'm hoping it's way before SummerSlam, because I don't want to see Raw, SmackDown champions on the opposite shows for another 2 fucking months. They need to figure this stuff out. But I think they will, because there's just too much disorganization right now with WWE's championship belts. There's too many of them. They need to be consolidated, unified, or something to clean up this disgusting mess. And there's a lot of cleaning up to do. You need to fix basically all of your championships. Raw and SmackDown women's championships need to be figured out, because right now they're on the opposite shows. So either do your stupid, pathetic, ridiculous, horrible belt swap, or change the names of the titles. The tag team titles, same thing. Too many damn belts. Either ununify them or create one set of tags that represent both and do the same exact thing for Roman Reigns. Because if you don't want the World Heavyweight Championship to be perceived as a consolation prize or a second place trophy, or third place trophy, I should say, then you need to unify Roman's belts, make them into one, have the WWE title swallow up the Universal, and present Roman with a new belt if you have to. And that way you've got 2 world championships represented by 1 belt each. You have the Raw and SmackDown women's championships rectified however you choose to do that. I think it would be best just to make a world's heavyweight championship for the women and a WWE championship for the women, just like you do for the men. And then with the tag team titles, if you need a tag title on both shows, I don't think you do, but if WWE feels they do, fine. Just do it. Just ununify them or something. Figure it out. Please, Triple H, I'm begging you, because this shit is a mess. But before we get to that, we have to have our Night of Champions show. And we've got several matches here that championship belts are not on the line. So I don't even know why they bothered calling it Night of Champions, but it's kind of been like that in other years too. I think, in 2012, right? Triple H and Punk wrestled, maybe it was 2011, on the Night of Champions and all that. There's been lots of non-title matches at Night of Champions pay-per-views in the past, but it is a little weird. So let's start with Night of Champions. Before we do, let's hit Zane G's $2. Thanks, my friend. Appreciate you being here. Reigns going to going the two-man power trip route. You mean with Solo, he might be, unless Roman, I've always thought Roman teaming up with Brock might be a fun two-man power trip, maybe they could do that. Danny, I don't know what's going on with Drew. I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about Drew McIntyre. I haven't read anything this week, but I haven't really been searching out Drew McIntyre news, so I'm sure some exists out there. But I think McIntyre will be back. They're probably waiting for the proper time to bring him back to TV, plus whatever's going on with him personally, with his injuries, anything like that needs to be healed up. But whenever McIntyre comes back, I'm hoping that he can maybe not flounder. Maybe this little break from McIntyre is actually a good thing. I don't think we've seen him since WrestleMania. So if he comes back, maybe with a new attitude, maybe even goes heel or something, that could work. I'm ready for Drew to win. Mr. Days Off says, rumor has Ali winning the IC title. I've kind of half pitched an idea for Ali, I think a couple of streams ago when we were talking about him. If you wanted to, well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we get to Gunther and Ali, but I do have an idea for this. So let's start with WWE Night of Champions that does air this Saturday for me. I think it airs at 9 in the morning is the kickoff, and then the show starts at 10, so it will probably be a 4-hour show running from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for me, an hour break, and then we'll be live at 3 p.m. for the stream. And the first match we're going to predict is Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. So Trish has come back. She worked with Becky at WrestleMania, turned heel on her. WWE actually drafted her to Raw, which is odd. I said, why would they draft her to Raw when she's probably going to be a part-timer? And the only thing I could think of is that she was going to be there for the next several months to work a program with Becky. So since that's the case, there is no way in my mind that Becky and Trish ends here at Night of Champions. This could be a 3-match deal between the two that culminates with a blow-off at SummerSlam. Or it could just be a 2-match deal and they have the blow-off at SummerSlam if both women or one of the women are involved in the Money in the Bank match in July. So I'm going to go Trish Stratus here. I don't think it makes any sense for Becky Lynch to win if you are going to have a program between these women that's going to last and likely culminate at SummerSlam. That's my guess here. So I feel like the bad guys usually win first in those situations. And for Becky just to come back and beat Trish here, you don't really have anywhere else to go. But Trish is a heel. She can cheat. She can do something to steal a win here from Becky, and then you run it back. And in the end, Becky will win the program. She will put Trish down, and that could perhaps be Trish's final match once that happens. But for the purposes of Night of Champions, I'm going to go with Trish Stratus. Let's do all the women here because I think a lot of these matches are relatively predictable. Here's one that's super predictable. Rhea Ripley defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Natalya. Ooh, it's a tough call there, man. Let's just say that Rhea Ripley is going to fucking murder Natalya, and Natalya stands negative 0.0001 thousand to the 10th degree chance of winning this match. She's not going to beat Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley is going to maybe not squash her, but beat her pretty handily. Natalya does have experience in front of the Saudi Arabia crowd. They do like her. So maybe Natalya can do what Gunther, I'm assuming, is going to do, and that is put on a really good showing and give the champion a run for their money. But I still think at the end of the day, Ripley is too hot. She is too strong. If I'm Triple H, and you know how Triple H does love long title runs, I'm keeping Rhea Ripley champion until next year's WrestleMania. And if I'm Triple H, I am somehow booking Ripley and Bianca for the championship. Hell, maybe you could even do title for title. That means Bianca's going to hang on for the title to her title for another year. I don't think that's a good idea. But Ripley and Bianca, I think next year, if you do like a Roman and Cody or a Gunther and Cody next year, and you do a Ripley and Bianca, build these stars, on these parallel trajectories and collision course them at WrestleMania could be great. Rhea Ripley and Bianca is what I'm hoping they do at WrestleMania 40. But between now and then, both of these women, I think, need to continue dominating, although I think Bianca really needs to add some layers in the next year because I feel like she's starting to get a little bit stale. But anyway, Rhea Ripley is going to beat Natalya and retain her SmackDown Women's Championship. Bianca Belair is defending her Raw Women's Championship against Asuka. Now, this match, of course, we saw take place at WrestleMania, and then Asuka turned heel with the mist and all of that, and the heat in this feud and this angle, even though it's been going on for a couple of months, has been pretty lukewarm. And there's just not a whole lot to this. And as much as I love Asuka and I would love to see her win the championship and become a killer, I'm just not feeling it. It just does not feel like this is going to be where Bianca's year-plus run comes to an end. But at the same time, you might need to start thinking about doing something with Bianca, having her drop that belt at some point, because I don't want to see Bianca become the female John Cena. She already has that, that role model persona for little girls and kids, and that's great. I've talked about this before, how one day I'm going to need Bianca Belair to become a killer. One day I'm going to need that braid to be chopped off. One day I'm going to need Bianca Belair to realize how physically dominant she is, and I want to see a killer instinct in her, to where, she's no longer dancing and hair twirling. She is murdering motherfuckers, and I think that's what Bianca should be doing eventually, but I understand you still have to get the mileage out of her as a role model for kids, but I think you run the risk of having her become Cena, and I just don't want to see her do the same thing for so many years. It's been like 3 now of her literally not changing a single thing about her character or her persona or her entrance or anything she does. I think she's long overdue for something like that, and that's coming in the future, but it's probably not coming here at Night of Champions. I think she's just going to straight up beat Asuka and retain her title and keep rolling, and that's what I predict there for Bianca Belair. Gunther versus Ali. This one is interesting. On paper, this seems like a no-brainer, right? Gunther all the way. There's no fucking way, based on how WWE has booked Ali for the past 5 years, that this guy's going to have any chance in the world of beating a stud, a monster like Gunther. However, there were, who was it in the chat a minute ago that said, hey, rumor has it that Ali is winning the title. I don't know where these rumors are coming from. I'm not really going to talk about rumors, but I am going to talk about Gunther's future. Now, Gunther is still the Intercontinental Champion. I have been wanting him since he's been champion for this long. What's another 2 months, right? Or 3 months, whatever we're at. In the beginning of September, he will break Honky Tonk Man's record as the longest running Intercontinental Champion of all time. So if that's what WWE wants to do, great, extra little feather in the cap, have Gunther hold the belt all until September and then figure out something to do. I kind of thought Gunther would drop the belt at WrestleMania in a one-on-one match, but then they made it a triple threat, and he was dominant, and he beat Sheamus and Drew in a lot of the same way that Roman beat Edge and Dana Bryan a couple years ago. And he just looked so magnificent. So at this point, if you want Gunther to be a championship contender and you need to get the Intercontinental title off of him, how do you propose doing that? Do you propose finding somebody who actually beats him clean? And then you can move him on to challenge for the world title later in the year, early next year, maybe even pencil him in for a Royal Rumble victory? That could work just fine. Or do you want to keep Gunther so dominant that he doesn't really take that loss that everybody's waiting for him to take for the Intercontinental title? And instead of having somebody beat him, clean and put him down, you have somebody steal it from him. And maybe Ali, even though he's a big baby face right now, and he's very positive Ali, although it feels like he's kind of dropped that gimmick a little bit. And now he's more, just really going to give it his all, give it 110% or something like that. If Ali, and plus you have to understand the audience that he's going to be in front of, and he's going to be a big, heavy favorite there. And if he can maybe pull a fast one or get some sort of crazy fluke win over Gunther, where it now and basically do that as a way to get the title off of Gunther because you have bigger plans for him. And instead of having a Sheamus or a McIntyre beat him down and beat him clean and take him down for the title, you have Ali kind of win it in a different type of show, overseas, different audience, fluke scenario, he wins or something like that. And if you did that, you would just assume that Gunther would, immediately target him to win his belt back. But maybe you could move Gunther on to some other program. Maybe even Owens and Zayn come down and even the odds of Imperium is out there and help Ali win. I don't know, but I would actually be open to the idea of Ali actually winning the Intercontinental title in some sort of crazy fluke to where now you don't have to worry about beating Gunther clean with a Drew or a Sheamus or somebody like that. You have Ali steal it, get the title away from him, somehow distract Gunther's attention elsewhere to where his motivation isn't purely on getting that belt back, allow Ali to run with it for a little while, and then turn Gunther into a title contender. Or maybe he says, Ali, you keep that belt for now. I'm going to go win this briefcase and win a bigger belt, or who knows. But I could maybe see a scenario like that working out. However, as much as I could kind of envision that in my head, I'm like, well, that would be one way to do it. It's probably not what they're going to do. And I think Gunther should still, at the end of the day, win here and retain the Intercontinental title. Number one, he could still go into September and break Honky Tonk's record. I know some people don't give a shit about Honky Tonk's record. I do. And I think it would be cool if it was finally broken. And I don't think you'll ever have a better opportunity to break that with a champion, a modern day Intercontinental champion that's so respected that has really helped restore value to that championship. I can't think of any other or better champion to break Honky's record than Gunther. And as I've said before, if WWE does have plans to make Gunther a main eventer, does have plans for Gunther to challenge for a championship one day, who's to say he has to drop the Intercontinental Championship at all? You could always do what WWE did with the Ultimate Warrior years ago and just have him win the title while he's Intercontinental Champion. So that's fine too. But at the end of the day, I'm going to predict Gunther to retain the IC title over Ali, who I really think is going to give him a fantastic run for his money. Here's another weird one. The tag team championships on the line. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Sami Zayn just posted a very awesome tweet. Seems like he's really enjoying his time going around Saudi Arabia and looking at stuff and looking at some of the landmarks, and seems to be very special to him. So seems to be enjoying himself over there, which is really good. And he's got a big tag team title defense with his buddy Kevin Owens against Roman and Solo. We talked about this match a lot last week because a lot of people were wondering why Roman Reigns is not defending his championship. Oh my God, WWE's crazy or something. No, not really. It's that the World Heavyweight Championship is going to be crowned. You're going to have your first ever champion crowned at Night of Champions. That title should take center stage. That title should be the main event. And I said even prior to this tag team match being made, Roman either needs to not defend his title at all or do something else, because Roman can't be in the main event defending his title on the very same show that you're trying to establish a brand new championship. So once this tag team championship match was made, I was like, there you go. And that's exactly what I was kind of thinking they would do, something along those lines, to where Roman would be taking a back seat. Roman Reigns cannot be in the main event of Night of Champions. And I think last month I pitched like Roman Reigns having an easy title defense in the undercard, like maybe facing Omos or something. But, Roman has said himself on the mic that, he's kind of the main event. So it would be tough to put Roman Reigns in a championship match on the undercard. And then if you put Roman Reigns, his championship match in the main event, then your World Heavyweight Championship looks like a consolation belt. So this is kind of one of the options that they had to do here to keep Roman on the show without having the title being defended or being front and center on the pay-per-view. They chose to go in this direction, with Roman now having an opportunity to walk out of Night of Champions with 4, count them, championship belts. I can't have that. I cannot have Roman Reigns doing that. That's too many championship belts. There's a lot of stuff going on right now with the Usos. There's a lot of stuff going on with Solo Sikoa. Last Friday night on SmackDown, Roman gave Solo the little shoulder check there, and you could see fear in Roman Reigns' face. You could see it in his eyes. He kind of stopped and he was hesitant. And he's like, oh man. And he knew maybe if he ever triggers this bear, he could be in a lot of trouble. And a lot of people have been pointing this out for months, that something is up with Solo Sikoa here. So I kind of assumed that the Usos, who are probably going to be flown all the way out to Saudi Arabia to do a run-in, would be involved here in the finish. They're either going to accidentally cost Roman and Solo the titles, or they're going to deliberately cost Roman and Solo the titles. Or maybe the Usos aren't needed at all, and you can tell a story with Roman and Solo, some sort of a miscommunication. Maybe Roman is the one to fuck up, because you see how upset he gets with the bloodline, specifically the Usos, when they do something wrong. And even in the promo where they announced this tag team match, Roman said, I'm going to go out there and do it myself. Since you guys can't get it done, I'm going to get it done. So wouldn't it be interesting if Roman fucked up and Superman punched or speared Solo by accident, allowing Owens or Zayn to pin Solo for the win? And now Roman is the one who's fucked up. You could tie in the Usos. They could still do a run-in and be involved out there. That way, when Roman makes a mistake, he can blame his mistake on the mistake the Usos made. Well, I wouldn't have done that to Solo if you guys would have done what the Tribal Chief said, something like that. So they could go a million different ways here. But at the end of the day, I think Owens and Zayn should retain here. I don't want to see Roman Reigns win 4 belts. I think Solo Sikoa should take the pin. And I think it would be really interesting if Roman was the one to do the fucking up. A good Superman punch, Solo holding up Sammy or something, and Roman comes in with a spear or a punch, and Sammy moves and he hits Solo, allowing the champions to get the win. That's the finish I would do, because I think that's the finish that would give us the most interesting segment on the following week's SmackDown, with Roman Reigns now having to come out and explain himself to Solo, or if he just stays away and Paul Heyman does the talking for him. But either way, it would make for a really interesting scenario if it was Roman who fucked up. So that's what I'm hoping for here. That's what I'm hoping we see. I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn should continue their run as tag team champions. I think they need something more meaningful to do, because I am not into their partnership and alliance with Riddle at all. I like Riddle, maybe a little less now since he's been gone, but it's just like the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's been the 3 of them on Raw, and it means nothing. I think Owens and Zayn need to run into some real competition that might not be the Bloodline, since technically, these teams are on opposite shows, although I guess Owens and Zayn can float. So we'll see what happens with Owens and Zayn after Night of Champions, but I don't really want to see their championship run come to an end here, just so WWE can get a photo op with Roman Reigns with 4 championship belts. I don't need that. Cody Rhodes taking on Brock Lesnar. Now, here's another interesting one. Pardon me, 1 second. Okay, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Had to go rescue a Tito. Anyway, Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. I think because of what we saw on Monday night, Brock attacks Cody, injures his arm, and they're kind of making it seem like Cody might not actually even make it to this match. He might not even be able to compete at Night of Champions. Now, we all know that's bullshit. We all know that he's going to be there. We all know it's going to be Cody and Brock, but is it going to even be an actual match? They might just do something where they fight. It's going to be Cody insisting to wrestle. They're kind of teasing that he's got a broken arm. So I think this was all done as a way. It's kind of twofold, because I feel like Cody and Brock are in the middle of a program here that's going to have one more match after this. So it's a matter of when that match is going to be. I don't really want to see it happen at Money in the Bank, because I would like to see Cody in the Money in the Bank. And I don't know if I want to see it at SummerSlam, unless, it's like Cody defending his newly won championship against Brock at SummerSlam. They could do that. So I think part of the reason why they did the Cody angle on Raw was, number 1, so Brock could get the win, and number 2, so this match wouldn't be in the main event. I think if this match was the main event, it would take away from the World Heavyweight Championship. But I also feel like WWE sees Cody as a main event babyface, John Cena type of star for them. And if Cody was going to beat Brock Lesnar in a straight up battle, maybe they feel that is the biggest match on the card. We've seen AJ and Seth a bunch of times in the past. Cody and Brock is kind of a new thing. This is kind of a big match. And it has the feel of a main event caliber match. And it would be weird for a non-title match to be the main event of a show called Night of Champions. So not only do I think that was done to give Cody and Brock more of an attraction match, like some sort of a fight. I don't even know, like I said, if it's going to be an actual match or if it's just going to be the two of them brawling and there's a DQ and there is no winner declared, and then you just run this back again down the road. But I feel like it might be a match. And if we do actually get a match between these two, it's going to be Cody insisting on fighting. But unlike the torn pec with Seth in the Hell in the Cell, where he was able to overcome that and still win, I don't think he'll be able to overcome this. He already has the broken arm. So all it's going to take is a Kimura lock and Cody passing out. It's probably going to be like that. I'm not even sure if you're going to be pinning Cody here or submitting him. I think it's going to be like a pass out type of deal, to where Cody's going to refuse to give up, but his arm is broken and Brock just continues to break it some more or whatever. You know, he did this thing with Triple H, kind of same thing, right? I mean, back in 2012, whatever it was, and broke his arm, and then they came back and had a match at SummerSlam or whatever happened there. But I feel like they went through a lot of trouble on Monday night to tell us that story. We even kind of got a little Triple H appearance there, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that will set up a Brock Lesnar victory. It'll probably be a situation where Cody wants to fight, Triple H or Adam Pearce don't want to let him, but then they let him or something, whatever. He's going to have to fight to get permission to go out there. The match will start. Brock will beat him down, but Cody will show a ton of heart, a ton of resilience. He'll fight back to the point where he's even freaking Brock out a little bit, but ultimately Brock will put him down, and that gives Cody some protection because he was previously injured on Raw. Brock broke his arm, so now if you have Brock beat Cody here, it protects him while still giving him a loss and will increase Brock's win-loss record in Saudi Arabia. I don't know what it will be, but it feels like he's won every match he's ever had there. So I think maybe with the exception of one. So I think that Brock will, because I think Roman beat him, right? But other than that, Brock's won everything. So I think Brock here should put down Cody Rhodes. He attacked him on Monday. He'll take advantage of that. He'll capitalize on that. He'll use that to his advantage, and he will get the win over Cody. Then you set up your third match. But when is that third match going to be? The next pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken, is Money in the Bank. I think we would all like to see Cody Rhodes in the Money in the Bank, unless the angle that they run at Night of Champions with Brock beating Cody knocks Cody off TV for 3 weeks. Then you have to have no Cody on Raw for 3 weeks. I don't know if WWE is going to want to do that. Maybe, or at least puts him out of action. He's selling the arm in a sling or in a cast or whatever, and then somehow makes the announcement a week ahead of Night of Champions, or I'm sorry, a week ahead of Money in the Bank, that he is going to be in the match. But Money in the Bank matches usually have to be qualified for. So how injured can Cody Rhodes really get at Night of Champions in kayfabe? If Brock is going to take advantage of Cody, break his arm, snap his arm, Cody passes out from the pain, referee rings the bell. Well, now Cody's got a broken arm. How do you explain that if he's got to have qualifying matches to Money in the Bank? Maybe that's the story. Maybe that's what the story is. Maybe Cody's resilience and his willingness to not give up is enough to allow WWE to put him in a qualifying match, but he's got to wrestle that match with either a broken arm or a severely damaged arm. And he wins the qualifier and he gets into Money in the Bank and all the whole thing. This whole road back to the title, he does injured from Brock Lesnar, something like that. But I feel like what was done on Monday was a way to get Brock the victory on Saturday. So I think Brock is going to win, and we'll see what they do after that. If Cody is, in a perfect world, going to go to Money in the Bank, I pitched the idea of him winning the title on the Friday night SmackDown after Money in the Bank, which is in Madison Square Garden, which would be unbelievable. And if Cody won the belt there, then maybe he could defend the belt against Brock in their blow-off at SummerSlam and get the win. But then where does that leave Roman Reigns? Does he go chasing after Seth Rollins for his championship? I don't know. I don't know what you do. But I feel like for Night of Champions, given what they did on Monday, you have to have Brock win now. Had we not seen what we saw on Monday, I might still be picking Cody here. But I don't want to see, what was that SummerSlam that everybody hates with Cena and the Nexus, where Cena overcame those ridiculous odds. I don't think Cody should be going in the ring against an animal like Brock, injured with a broken arm or a busted arm or whatever, and still find a way to win. I think you get more mileage if you do some sort of a finish, or Cody gets beat down or passes out from the pain, or the referee just stops the match because he's fucking dead laying in a pool of blood. Something like that. Then you can run it back and Cody gets the win in the blow off against Brock down the road. But, like I said, when is that going to be? Is it going to be Cody and Brock in the blow off at Money in the Bank in London, meaning neither guy are going to be in the Money in the Bank match? That's kind of a bummer. I think a lot of people were kind of hoping Cody would win that too. But then again, are you going overboard with Cody? He already won the Rumble, then the main event of WrestleMania. Now you're going to give him Money in the Bank as well, but maybe that's what they're going to do. We will have to see. Brock Lesnar beats Cody Rhodes on Saturday, leaving us with the World Heavyweight Championship match, which I am hoping is the main event. I'm hoping the whole reason that Cody and Brock did the angle on Monday was so now you have a reason to put this match in the undercard, because it's going to be a little bit different of a match. Cody's not going to be 100%. He might even be out there in street clothes or something like that with Brock kicking his ass. It's not going to be a normal match, which means they can stick this a little bit underneath the card, allowing Rollins and AJ to be your match. And I think both of these guys should make a point to make this one of the best WWE Championship matches in history. I think it would be a great way to reintroduce the World Heavyweight Championship. There are rumors going around, don't know if this is confirmed or not, but I did read them, that the World Heavyweight Championship lineage is going to pick back up where it left off, meaning that Triple H will be the first guy to hold it all the way back in 2002. So they're going to start the history from 2002 and continue it on. So there was that gap after it was unified in 2014 or whatever year that was. And so it's going to be picking up with that. So that's actually kind of good, because I've been harping like a maniac about the championship history and the lineage and who WWE would want atop of that lineage. And you would want somebody that's either a current Hall of Fame caliber star on your roster or, some sort of legend or something like that. So I thought Rollins was perfect, but then there was talk of Edge. I thought he would be perfect. And then we saw on the SmackDown bracket, AJ Styles coming out the winner in that. So now that gives us a guaranteed great first World Heavyweight Champion. No matter who wins, AJ or Seth, their names would look remarkable on top of a championship title belt lineage or history, but it's not going to be necessary anymore, since apparently this is going to be the same World Heavyweight Championship that they technically unified years and years ago, about 10 years ago now. So that championship history apparently is going to be brought back. I don't think it really changes anything in terms of who I'm going to put over in this match. AJ Styles is a SmackDown star. I think it's ridiculous that SmackDown was even involved in this thing to begin with. And AJ Styles has also kind of kicked off 2 programs on SmackDown, or at least planted the seeds in those programs with Karrion Kross. And then who the hell else was he in the ring with? Grayson Waller the other week or whatever. So he has issues already existing on SmackDown. If he were to beat Seth Rollins here and then come to Raw, it would be like, what? Plus, didn't the other OC members get drafted with him? So then he'd be coming over by himself unless all of his cohorts were coming with him. I just don't see it happening. I've said all along that this is Seth Rollins' belt to win. And I still feel that way. I feel like he's the perfect guy. He's the one who should win. I love AJ Styles. If he did pull off the upset and beat Seth Rollins and win the title, I'm not going to complain. I think AJ Styles is phenomenal, no pun intended. But I think it makes the most sense based on what WWE is currently set up on TV for Seth Rollins to win the World Heavyweight title. He's a Raw guy. It's a Raw belt. It needs to stay that way. AJ can go back to SmackDown and work on the feuds that they've already, laid the groundwork for over there. And Rollins can be your face, at least temporarily, of Monday Night Raw. And that's what I think they're going to do. So Seth Rollins will beat AJ Styles to become the World Heavyweight Champion. So just to recap, Trish over Becky, Bianca over Asuka, Rhea over Natalya, Gunther over Ali, Owens and Zayn over Roman and Solo, Brock over Cody, and Rollins to win the new World Heavyweight Championship. So as you can see, no title changes for WWE other than Seth being crowned World Heavyweight Champion. I really think that's all you need, to be honest. So there you have it for Night of Champions. Now we can move on to AEW Double or Nothing. A few more matches on this show than there are for Night of Champions. Let me cruise back here to the chat. I think I have a couple of super chats I want to knock out. And if you don't mind, could you hit that thumbs up button for me, since it's a Thursday afternoon and not many people are knowing I'm live right now Likes would help, helps out the algorithm, all that kind of stuff. Also, make sure you subscribe. Memberships are open, all that good stuff, as we are on the road to 40,000 subscribers. Zane G, I got you earlier, but JB, I did not. Thank you very much for that 5. It seems like they don't want to break the lineage of Belair's Raw title reign. Surely they thought of this before the draft, right? I know. And I understand that because Bianca's had that long run. So it sounds like they're trying to figure out what to do, but they should have already figured that out, just like you're saying. And I think that, like I said earlier, like I'm under the assumption and the hope, because otherwise, if they don't have any plans in place for this yet, they just look like idiots. I'm hoping that they do have an idea of what they want to do. They're just not doing it yet, waiting till Night of Champions comes and goes or whatever. But I feel like you could still acknowledge the length of her run if you kind of change the championship. And maybe they're waiting until she drops it to change the title or something like that. But I feel like you could just rename the title. The WWE Women's Championship, like have Raw have all the World Heavyweight stuff and have SmackDown have all the WWE stuff. And it was like that back in the day too. It got a little bit confusing, with the World Heavyweight title and the WWE tags on one show and the WWE title and the World tags on the other, shit like that. But they could probably figure out a way to do it. I think a belt redesign for both women, a dual presentation with both women in the ring would be fun, because again, that would plant the seeds for a future WrestleMania 40 showdown between the two. If you have Triple H knocking both of these out at once, again, you're going to have to do this on one of the shows, so you're probably going to have to do these separately, but I think it would be a good moment for television if you had Triple H out there with 2 brand new championship belts that he's given to Rhea and Bianca respectively. Bianca, congrats on your year-plus run. This belt is now known as the WWE Championship. Rhea, congratulations on your win over Charlotte at WrestleMania. You are now the WWE World Women's Champion. I don't know how the fuck you even name these things, but that's what I would do. And you can still keep Bianca's title record technically intact. You just have a name change in between there, which I don't think is too bad. But otherwise, it just looks really silly with Raw champions being on SmackDown and vice versa, especially when you just did a draft and made such a big deal about stars being exclusive to one brand and belts being exclusive to one brand. And now you've got crisscrossed shit. Figure it out. It's unbelievably annoying. I just wish they would figure it out. Thank you, Jose and Santiago, the Pokemon Masters. Appreciate you guys, or you, whoever. Anywho, yeah, JL, that was intermission. Sorry I had to step away there. I had a kitty emergency in the other room. Sorry about that. But anyway, let's get on to Double or Nothing, AEW Double or Nothing this Sunday. I was at the show last year, had a blast. My plan was to go to the show this year, but things came up, too much going on. I got a vacation I'm taking next month. I went to WrestleMania and spent $10 zillion. So kind of had to sit this one out. However, 1 week from last night, this coming Wednesday, I will be live front and center on AEW Dynamite. I've got row 2 seats facing the hard cam. So you'll get a whole lot of Greg this coming Wednesday on Dynamite here in San Diego. I'm going to that event, but unfortunately not attending Double or Nothing. A lot less tickets sold for this event. Seems like they kind of had a quieter crowd last night for Dynamite as well. And I think last year for Double or Nothing, they had about 14,000 for this show. Probably going to be around 9,000 or 10,000 for this year. And even the ticket sales for Dynamite in San Diego next week, were pretty reasonable because only half the building is sectioned out for seating. So AEW doing not so great here recently with ticket sales, but doing really good this summer because they're going to have a great house for Forbidden Door. That we're going to have a great house for United Center, for Collision, and All In is what they're doing. So hopefully things will pick up steam for AEW this summer. But AEW Double or Nothing, here we go. Let's start off with Ethan Page and the Ass Boys taking on the Hardy Party. This is supposed to be Jeff, Matt, and Isaiah Cassidy. I think we're going to see an angle tomorrow night where he's going to be replaced by Hook because he's injured. So I believe it's going to be Ethan and the Guns against Jeff, Matt, and Hook. So I'm definitely going to pick Jeff, Matt, and Hook to win this. Last year, Double or Nothing, Jeff and Matt took on the Bucks in a pretty damn good match. Orange Cassidy defending his international championship in a 21-man blackjack battle royal. This was set up hilariously on Dynamite last week with another Orange Cassidy victory. He teamed up with Darby and won last night. He successfully defended the title against Kyle Fletcher. So Orange Cassidy has been an Iron Man lately. He has been defending that title every week, much like Darby Allin was doing with the TNT title. And I think it's made the international title, a little bit more important right now than the TNT title. And I like that they've increased the value of that title. And look who did it. Mr. Hands and Pockets guy, Mr. Guy that's ruining the business for all you numbnuts with a stick up your ass about this guy. He's not real wrestling. Well, he's fucking over like Rover, bitch. And he's been a great champion. He is a good worker, and he has increased the value. He's given that title more value than Pac did. True. It's true. Sorry to break it to you, but it's true. And he's been doing great work. So now he's going to face 21 men in this Blackjack Battle Royal because after his win last week, Renee was like, hey, you're going to face somebody at Double or Nothing. He's like, I don't give a shit. Anybody who wants a title wants a title match can have it. Just go talk to Tony Khan. And then Renee was like, you wouldn't believe this, but 20, exactly 20, not 19, not 21, 22, but 20 men went into Tony Khan's office to ask for a championship match. And that's when Cassidy was like, well, I guess I'll just have to fight them all then. If there's 20 of them and there's one of me and we're in Vegas, 21, Blackjack Battle Royal, there you go. So what I would do here, since Cassidy has been such a workhorse and he's been having match after match on TV, successfully defending his title, I would hate to see all of that come to an end here in an early match on the card, in a battle royal scenario where you're not capitalizing as well as you could, I don't think, on having him lose the title. The only way I see him losing the title here is if one of these 21 men is some big surprise. If it's a return, if it's a debut, or if Cassidy, maybe you can't count how many men, maybe there's actually 20 men in the ring, and, it's just hard to count, see everybody, so there's only 20 men in the ring. Cassidy wins the match, he's in the ring alone, and then, oh, wait, there's one more guy you didn't remember, or maybe it's a deal where somebody's tossed out and they go into the ring. Some sort of deal where Cassidy is in the ring, he thinks he's won, and then somebody comes in from behind and tosses him over the top rope and becomes the new champion that way. That's the only way I can see him losing this title here. I can't see him just being tossed over the top rope in the middle of the match, leaving 15 guys left to fight for his championship. I do not see that scenario. So what I think is that barring any sort of return or debut, I think Cassidy's going to retain his title against everybody, but it's going to be hard fought. We've seen how hard he's been fighting on TV, retaining his title. Even last night, that match with Kyle Fletcher was very competitive, very competitive. He did not win that match easily. And now you're going to go into this battle royal. You're going to beat 20 men. Then you're going to go into the next Dynamite in San Diego. And Cassidy's going to have to maybe defend the title, or maybe somebody challenges him, something like that. But he's really banged up. He's really weakened from all of the fighting he's done, plus having to face 20 men on Sunday. And here someone is just a couple of days later wanting a championship match against him. And Orange Cassidy is Orange Cassidy, and he doesn't give a shit about anything. So he'll probably be like, yeah, whatever, I'll fight you. And then he gets overwhelmed, too beat up, too banged up from all of his, all the fighting he's been doing for the past couple of months. And whoever this person is that challenges him next Wednesday is the person to beat him for the title. So that's how I would do it. Plus, I'm a little bit selfish. I'd like to see a title change to a show I'm going to. So I think Cassidy could retain and survive the Battle Royal, but drop it on Wednesday since he's going to be ripe after a battle like that and overcoming all of those odds. Somebody could pounce on him on Wednesday on TV and take advantage of that. So that's what I would do. Orange Cassidy wins the 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal. TNT Championship on the line. Wardlow defending against Christian Cage. You have no idea how badly I want to predict Christian to win. I think he would be a phenomenal TNT champion. He's a great heel. He's great on the mic. He can get excellent heat. And I would love someone like him carrying this championship. I think he would add value to it, and he would be a great heel to carry it through the summer, perhaps losing it at All In or whatever, right? And I think that would be a lot of fun. But they just went through the trouble of putting the belt back on Wardlow. And I don't think Wardlow really needs to be in the position of being a transitional champion, of getting the belt from Hobbs to Christian. And Hobbs was done wrong enough in that in that scenario. So now just to take it off of Wardlow again would be weird, but I still feel like there's a chance that could happen if it weren't for one specific thing, Arn Anderson. And they went through the trouble, like I said, of actually placing Arn with Wardlow, kind of toughening Wardlow up, slapping him around a little bit, say, hey man, this is this is the nature of the beast. You got to be able to fight against these odds, and just basically tough loving him a little bit, kind of like he did the same thing with Cody. And Arn, Arn is that good presence, and I don't think they would go through the trouble of putting Arn with Wardlow if Wardlow was just going to drop the belt again, unless they want to use Arn as a tool to get heat on Wardlow. So like if Christian beats Wardlow, maybe Wardlow is then in the ring. He's frustrated. He's dejected. Arn gets in the ring to console him, and then Wardlow attacks Arn, going heel, something like that. Because Wardlow going heel would also, I would be okay with. But I feel like if they want to reestablish Wardlow, if they want to try to fix some of the momentum issues they had with him this year, because I feel like when he won that championship and when he beat MJF last year at Double or Nothing, it was almost like he instantly cooled off, especially after winning the TNT title he did. And now where we are with him, if AEW is serious about making him being one of their top homegrown guys, a pillar level guy, then I think he needs to win here. And I think the pairing with Arn should be something that's going to help push him, into superstardom in the company. I think that's would be like the best case scenario. So I'm going to go against what I want. I want Christian Cage to win the title because I really like Christian, and I think he would be super fun all summer long in the hot summer, coming out there with his belt and his turtleneck. I think it would be great. Going down to Miami, coming out in a turtleneck and a burlap jacket in the middle of fucking July. He's the best. But I feel like it's for the betterment of the company and their future and the future of the star they have in Wardlow that he wins here. And maybe his association with Arn can really, can really help him in the long run. But I think he's going to have to win here if they want to salvage, nearly ruining Wardlow. So I feel like he's got to win here. But if Christian does win and pulls off the upset somehow or something, I'll be fine with that because I love me some Christian. FTR defending the AEW tag team titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal with Mark Briscoe as the special guest referee. Now, the build and the lead into this has been pretty great. The chicken farm stuff, the pile driver to Mark Briscoe from Dax, I also liked when he was blinded. And last night, of course, they had issues. FTR and Jarrett and Lethal, of course, have their issues, but Mark Briscoe is right in the middle of that. And he seemed to be pretty fed up with everybody. Called out Dax for the pile driver, and he walked away from the two of them while slapping Jarrett in the face as he's leaving. Mark is just completely fucking crazy. He seems to be angry, annoyed, fed up. Don't know if this is just a ploy, if he's going to wind up siding with one team or the other. But with Mark Briscoe, he's got a big match, I believe, on Saturday for Ring of Honor as well. Against JD Drake. Did you see that card? There's like 20 matches for this card. Maybe it's tomorrow night. I forgot when this Ring of Honor card is. But I swear to God, the match graphic, like the graphic of all the matches, it's like 20 matches on there. It's insane. So Mark Briscoe, we're still just a matter of months, less than that, after the death of Jay. And we know the history between the Briscoes and FTR. If they were going to do some sort of a swerve here, and Jarrett and Lethal were going to win the titles, I don't think that there's any point in having Mark Briscoe turn heel and have an issue with FTR. Just me personally. I just feel like when Jay died, that issue died with it. And I think at least for the foreseeable future, Briscoe and FTR should not be at odds. I would just prefer that as a fan, for them not to be at odds. Because if Mark Briscoe were to turn heel here, he's a great heel too, but I think he's also a super entertaining babyface just due to how country he is. And I would like to get some more mileage out of that because I really like Briscoe in that role. I think Mark Briscoe should take the place of Excalibur every week on AEW commentary. He would be hilarious. So I don't know, even though I've loved the work that Jeff Jarrett has done in AEW, been pleasantly surprised with how funny and entertaining his association with Lethal and Sonjay and Satnam Singh and now Karen Jarrett getting into the mix. I feel like They are kind of set up to win the tag team championships here, but I think if they did, it would have to take help from Mark Briscoe, which means Mark Briscoe is either going to have to turn or do something accidentally in the match. Maybe miss a big spot because he took a bump, or maybe he's distracted, or maybe he inadvertently does something that costs FTR the titles. Either way, that's going to create tension between Mark and FTR. And as a fan, I just kind of don't want to see that. So I think maybe Mark doesn't play. He's going to play a role here, but I don't know if he's going to really necessarily choose sides unless the heels provoke him, unless he does something that Jeff Jarrett doesn't like and Jarrett gets in his face and he slaps him. And that's when Mark decks him or whatever, allowing Dax or Cash to roll up Jarrett for the win, something like that. At the end of the day, I'm going to pick FTR to retain the tag team titles. I wouldn't be all disappointed if Jeff and Lethal won them, just due to how entertaining I found them, but I'm keeping the belts on FTR. Again, they just won these recently as well, right after WrestleMania, so it would be a bit early at this juncture, I feel like, to take the belts off of them, but you never know what they could do, but I'm going to pick FTR to retain. Jade Cargill defending her TBS championship against Taya Valkyrie. Again, I like Taya a lot. If anybody's big and strong and bad enough to put down Jade clean and legitly, Taya would be one of those people. But I'm still holding out for Jade. I think, she's been a remarkable champion. She just surpassed 500 days. You need that loss to be a big deal. And it's still up in the air who that person is going to be if they're waiting for Chris Statlander to come back. I've pitched Jade Cargill against Jamie Hayter at All In, title for title, Hogan and Warrior style. I would love to see that. That would be so fucking awesome. So regardless of where they are going to do Jade's loss and who that loss is going to be to, I don't think it's going to be here to Taya Valkyrie. I think under different circumstances, Taya would be an excellent candidate to take the belt off of Jade if the feud had a little bit more heat, if it was a little bit more interesting, and if you really felt like Jade's run has a serious threat, right now in Taya. I'm not feeling any of those vibes. Plus, I'm very, very much Team Jade and the run that she's going on. I really want to see her being built up as a major star in the company. She's going to be one of their, homegrown talents that they're going to be able to say, we made her, she made herself, but, we helped and she got it all done here and got on the map as a pro wrestler here with us. And hell, man, she could even get in the middle of that Outcast stuff since they seem to be targeting some of the AEW originals or homegrown talents. And I think Jade Cargill definitely fits that bill. But in terms of this match against Taya, I feel like Cargill is going to have to survive and win yet again. Maybe you use this match to bring somebody back or to maybe indicate who the person is going to beat Jade Cargill, because AEW has done that before. They just did it with Wardlow. Right after he won the TNT title from Hobbs, out comes Christian. So I was like, man, they could have waited a week to do that. Maybe they do something like that here. After Jade beats Taya Valkyrie, somebody returns. I have no idea the health status of Chris Statlander, how close she is to returning, if she's even close at all. It could be 5 more months down the line for all I know. I'm clueless. But if for any reason she's ready to come back, this is where I do it. So we'll see what happens, but I think that Jade will retain her TBS title over Taya Valkyrie. Jamie Hayter is defending her AEW Women's Championship against Toni Storm. This match was set up last night, I think, on AEW Dynamite. Now, Jamie was pulled from the match that she was scheduled to compete in, right? Because she wasn't cleared. So the fact that she's got a title match here makes us believe that the injury must be minor enough to where they believe she's going to be good to go against Toni Storm. So this is going to be the one match that I think I'm going to pick a title change. I feel like on both of these pay-per-views, there's not a lot of certainty in any of these matches, but I don't see a lot of possibilities for title changes unless you did a Christian win or a Jarrett and Lethal win. Both, I believe, are possible. But I feel like if any title change is possible at all, it might be with Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm for a couple of reasons. You put the belt on Toni Storm, who's actually been a very, very reliable worker. She's been working the past several weeks in a row. putting on really good matches. She knows what she's doing. You've got a great champion in her guaranteed, and she's kind of the focal point of, or she's in the middle of that outcasts faction that they're trying to get over. I think the green spray paint and all that shit's a little bit lame, but they seem to be committed to it. They seem to want to get it over. And I feel like if one of those women was the champion, that would be a good way to continue that faction moving forward and continue their momentum. Plus, Jamie Hayter apparently has a shoulder injury. Nobody really knows how bad. Maybe, I'm just speculating, but maybe she's good enough to compete in a match but needs some time off or needs some rehab or perhaps needs surgery. So she's got to come do the job here to Toni Storm, because I think AEW wants to, they've already had this interim crap enough. So I would hate to see the championship have to be forfeited again. So if Hayter is banged up, or maybe she's not 100%, maybe she's good enough to put on a match here with Toni Storm, and they just use this match as a way to get the belt off of Jamie Hayter. I feel like that's possible. So as much as I would like to see Jamie Hayter continue to be booked dominantly, like I said, I would love to see that showdown with Jamie Hayter and Jade Cargill, title for title at All In. But if Jamie Hayter loses the title here to Toni Storm and then gets healed up or whatever, comes back and maybe challenges Jade Cargill for the TBS, you could maybe do that. But I feel like maybe you should put the belt on Toni Storm here. Plus, it would give Toni an opportunity to run with it without the interim title name attached to it, and she'd be the actual women's champion. And I think that could be an option. So I'm going to predict Toni Storm to beat Jamie Hayter for the AEW women's title. There you go. Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho, unsanctioned match. Guess what? We've got a special enforcer for this match, announced last night, completely out of left field, pulled directly out of somebody's ass, of all people, to be the enforcer in this match. It's going to be none other than Sabu. Huh? I was confused as hell watching Dynamite with you guys last night. We all watched it together. They were doing the Chris Jericho and Adam Cole contract signing for the unsanctioned match. And then at the end of it, after everybody signs, Jericho is like, Cole, you're a dumbass. I have the whole JAS society with me. He's got 5 guys with him. Cole only has Roderick Strong. And Jericho is like, once again, you proved how stupid you are. You think the 2 of you can match up against the 5 of us. And Cole was like, Chris, I knew you were going to say that. So I called up somebody that I know that lives here in Vegas. And I made a phone call to this man, and he kind of builds it up. I'm like, ooh, this will be good. Who is it? Who is it? And it's none other than the most genocidal, suicidal, homicidal. And I'm like, Sabu? And they bring out Sabu with kind of like an AEW version of his old theme, which sounded really good. He got a pretty good pop. He got a pretty good reaction from everybody online as well. But from me, it was getting complete confusion. I'm like, of all people for Adam Cole to have a personal relationship with, of all people for Adam Cole to have on speed dial, when the fuck have Adam Cole and Sabu ever met ever? How do they even know each other? And when you think about Bobby Fish and some other people that might be out there that Adam Cole has a real relationship with, that he could have called to even up the odds for it to be Sabu, of course, from a nostalgia perspective is great and everything. But you talk about something that just does not fit and did not make any sense to me at all. Not to mention the fact that I don't really like Sabu. He said some fucked up shit in recent years. He said some homophobic and racist stuff, which when you look at it is every bit as bad as what Hulk Hogan said. So why is Tony Khan going out of his way to say you're banned from all AEW shows to Hulk Hogan, but then brings in Sabu? Tony Khan apparently was a big ECW mark back in the day. Maybe this was something personal for Tony Khan that he wanted to do, bring in Sabu, whatever. But I personally, in the context of this Chris Jericho and Adam Cole feud, do not need Sabu involved in this at all. He's completely out of place. It's weird. It's random. And I don't know why he's there. I don't even know why you need a special enforcer here. I mean, there's a little bit of history with Sabu and Jericho from back in the ECW days, but it was so incredibly random. It felt shoehorned. It felt like Tony Khan saying, I want to bring Sabu in because he probably will get a reaction. I thought he had a health scare recently, and I know he did announce his retirement a couple of years ago. When he made his entrance last night, it took him forever. He was walking down the aisle, doing his entrance and the whole thing. If the JAS was really smart, they would have just jumped Cole and Roddy right there while Sabu was lumbering all the way down to the ring. What was he really going to do last night that was going to even up any odds? It was so bizarre. He was wearing a suit. He still had his AEW backstage pass on, like Wayne's World. I got $5,000. I got $5,000. But he's taken forever to come down there, and I just didn't get it. So maybe I was being a little cynical about the whole thing, but I'm like, are we going to give Sabu a pass for the shit that he said? Because it was pretty messed up. A couple of things he said was really fucked up. Taz was marking out for him. So I guess there's no ill feelings there, because one of those things was pertaining to Taz that Sabu said back in the day. But it was just odd. It was just weird, kind of out of place. And I'm surprised, based on some of Sabu's past behavior, that Tony Khan went out of his way to bring him in. I don't know who contacted who here or who recommended Sabu or why he was brought in at all. Does not make any sense to me whatsoever why he's there, but he's there, and he's going to be at Double or Nothing to be the special enforcer in this match. So what does this mean? He's going to be an enforcer in an unsanctioned match. So he's probably going to be on the outside of the ring. He's probably not in good physical shape enough to actually be the ref in this thing. So he's going to be the enforcer out there to, I guess, fend off what the JAS does. An unsanctioned match is an unsanctioned match. I'm assuming is no disqualification. If there's no sanctions, there's no rules. Maybe, is that how it goes? I mean, it can't be a match where you're disqualified and shit, right? Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't even know the fucking rules here. But I feel like Sabu, at best, is just going to do whatever he can to hold off the Jericho Appreciation Society. But how is he going to hold off 50, 60 some odd year old Sabu, going to hold off four men, one of them being Jake Hager, who's like an MMA guy? How is he going to stop anything? What's he going to stop? It would be so easy, I think, if you're the Jericho Appreciation Society, to neutralize Sabu. You could easily distract him. Just put a little sexy outfit on Danny Garcia and make him go down there and dance in front of him. That'll distract Sabu. And then everybody else can run in the ring and do whatever damage they want to do to Adam Cole. So Sabu feels completely pointless in this whole situation. I don't get it at all. But how is Adam Cole going to lose here? My hope is, and it might not be AEW's hope or other fans' hope, but I really want AEW to push Adam Cole towards the title. Adam Cole is on my short list. He's number one on my list of who I want to see take the title from MJF. If CM Punk comes back and resumes a feud with MJF, that could happen. I feel like MJF is kind of already planting the seeds for that a little bit. You have to run that one back. I feel like, Punk maybe in a sign of good faith to AEW, I think Punk might do something like recommend that he put Max over, so maybe that's a match you book for All In, Punk and MJF, and MJF wins. Or you could do Punk and MJF before that. You can do that in July or something like that and run that match back and have MJF beat CM Punk, just so Punk can show AEW and his peers and everybody else that he's here to do business. It's not about him being champion or winning all the time or anything like that. He wants to do business. Best way to show you is let Max beat me down, because Max was probably going to be the one to take the title off of me to begin with. So the least I can do upon my return is put him over. And then you put Maxwell in the ring with Adam Cole at All In, and those promo battles would be remarkable. I want to see Cole and Punk have a program too, because apparently they're cool with each other. So they could have an excellent program. And I just think that Adam Cole is one of the best in the world on the mic. So when he's in there with another one of the best in the world's on the mic, I think Cole, MJF, and Punk, any combination of the two of them, would be so fun to watch the build in the ring, on the mic, in promos and stuff. So that's what I would like to see Adam Cole do this summer, is being programmed towards the championship and eventually win the championship. Losing to Chris Jericho here isn't going to do anything to help that. Jericho is a guy that's just been putting people over left and right. Technically, these unsanctioned matches don't go against his record, because I think he had one already with Cassidy or Darby or one of those guys. Jericho did a while back. So Jericho in this position, I mean, he did lay down in the grass just the other week for Roddy. So coming out here and losing again, I don't know, but I feel like Jericho could afford a loss more than Adam Cole, if that makes any sense, because this is just the role that Jericho is in now. And I feel like in an unsanctioned match with moving parts like Sabu and Jericho Appreciation Societies, you can book this in such a way where Jericho's character has an excuse as to why he lost on TV or something like that. I feel like a loss to Cole does more damage to Cole than a loss to Jericho would do to Jericho. So for that reason, I feel like Adam Cole is a lock to win this match. I hope he does. I feel like he should. It would be weird to bring Sabu as the enforcer only to turn him heel, because I don't feel like Sabu's AEW appearances are going to be a regular thing unless he's been hired on part-time. Wouldn't feel like he would be, but him joining the JAS and dressing like an idiot, I can't see that happening. So I feel like he might just be there in a babyface role to legitimately actually help out Adam Cole and help him fend off Jericho and the swarm of JAS members that will no doubt be present for all of that stuff. So Adam Cole, I predict, will beat Chris Jericho. The Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club and Archie in the arena. This one's going to be great. Shout out to, I think it was Cozy Superkick on Twitter. I can't remember who. Last year during the Anarchy in the Arena, I was there for that. It was so great. Blackpool made their entrance right through my section. And the beginning part of the match, remember, they were playing Wild Thing the whole time. And I didn't know this, but apparently when the music shut off, it was Jericho doing this. I couldn't see it from my seat, but Wild Thing was playing. And I remember looking at Elizabeth. I'm like, I guess they're just going to play the song for the whole match. And then it shut off. I guess it was Jericho that did that. So somebody said this time they should have Moxley's Wild Thing playing again. But then one of the Elite members goes and changes the music to Bop by Hanson. And that song plays in the arena the whole time while these guys are fighting. That would be fucking hysterical. I would love that. And if Tony Khan was ever going to pay for music, that would be money well spent. I think that's a fabulous idea. I chuckled all damn day about that. I'm like, ooh, I hope we see something like that. But this one is really tough to predict because, again, much like I mentioned with, Trish and Becky Lynch in the other match, this ain't going to be the last deal between these guys. I think we've got blood and guts coming up after this between these two factions. We haven't seen a lot of Don Callis since he turned on Kenny. He was supposed to come explain himself, but then he never really did. And he's going to be involved in this. We also don't know about Takeshita, where he stands. He has had some involvement in the BCC and Elite feud leading up to this, and him and Callis haven't really been around in the last couple of weeks. So I don't know if they're just going to stay gone from this issue or if they're going to make their presence known, whether they're going to be on the same side or if it's going to be Takeshita helping out the Elite and Callis helping out the BCC. This could lead to what brings Kota Ibushi in next month, perhaps, or maybe even at Double or Nothing. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And I feel like since we're going to get another match between the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club, you can make a strong, strong case for Blackpool Combat Club to win here. And I'm really torn because I would kind of feel like you get more mileage with the BCC winning, but you literally just reformed the Elite. You just put them back together on TV with Hangman rejoining these guys. Their contracts are coming up this year. Tony Khan is going to want to re-sign them. And Punk is about to come back and be the star of Collision. Elite's going to want to be the strongest, pushed faction on the other side. So I feel like it would really be hard to book an Elite loss right when Hangman Page comes and rejoins the group. Could a loss tear them right back apart? Unless you had some outside involvement from a Don Callis or whatever. So I feel like because it's almost guaranteed that we're going to get another match, and because Don Callis recently turned and all of that, I feel like any sort of outside interference that happens in this match is going to have to benefit the Blackpool Combat Club. Unless it's Callis coming out first and helping them and they think they're going to win, and then Takeshita comes out of nowhere and evens up the odds for the Elite, and then that prompts Don Callis to bring Ibushi in, or maybe vice versa, Takeshita going heel with Don Callis and the BCC, and then Elite brings in Ibushi to even up the odds. Something like that I think would be a lot of fun. So I'm really, really legitimately torn. I don't know who to pick here. I can make a case for both. At the end of the day, I'm going to pick I'm going to pick the Blackpool Combat Club to beat the Elite. I think I'm making a mistake there, but I feel like I got to pick something weird. And I'm going to go against my better judgment and my instincts for once and actually pick the Blackpool Combat Club because they've been great. I do feel like they're setting up Wheeler Yuta for a fall, though. I think Brian Danielson, was throwing a little shade at him on commentary. So I do feel like they're set up for Yuta to be the guy to fuck up here and lose the match for the team. So I really feel like it's the Elite's match to win. But you know what? Let's pick Blackpool Combat Club. What? Just for fun. It's not like there's any money on this. BCC to beat the Elite in Anarchy in the Arena, which would make them what? 2-0? Or the JAS win? I forgot who even won the damn Anarchy in the Arena last year. But let's go with the BCC. And now that leaves us with the main event, the four pillars, MJF defending his AEW World Heavyweight title against the boy from the jungle, Sammy Guevara, and Skateboard Turtle Boy. MJF all the way. I can't see him losing the title in this environment. I would be, of the other pillars, I think Darby would be the one who's world championship ready. He could take the belt, I think, be very over and carry the title well. But I feel like it's still MJF's title. I think if I'm AEW, if I'm Tony Khan, I am setting up a title change or booking a title change of some kind at All In for my world champion. So in my mind, the most impactful championship title change at All In that you could do would be MJF losing his title. Because if he loses the title now and then one of these pillars drops it at All In, I think you get a bigger match just having MJF continue his run through Double or Nothing, through Forbidden Door. He'll probably avoid defending the title on TV and all that shit throughout, July and August. And then you book him against, what I hope is Adam Cole. I hope he faces Adam Cole at All In for the title. I think that would be fucking great. But I also feel like MJF has got a run in with CM Punk on the horizon and lots of stuff you can do. I guess we're going to have to wait and see how things go after Collision debuts. But in this match, I feel like MJF has to retain here. And I talked last week about, booking a finish in this. And I think it's going to be somewhat simple. The other three pillars have made it very clear to themselves and the fans that their kind of number one priority isn't really winning the belt for one of them. It's getting the belt off of MJF. And you don't usually see that type of motivation from challengers. There's got to be some self-interest here, but they all kind of seem to have made a pact to get the title off of MJF. And I think MJF is going to use that to his advantage. He's going to take advantage of their obsession with him losing and what will likely be a little bit of infighting between the other three of them, since this is a four-way match. And MJF will probably just capitalize on that. Two guys will take each other out fighting or something, leaving one probably Jungle Boy in the ring all by himself for MJF to lock in the salt of the earth on or whatnot. I feel like that's what I would do. I would have Sammy and Darby cancel each other out. MJF isolates and zeroes in on Jungle and is able to beat him in the finish there. But it's definitely going to be MJF taking advantage of the implosion between the other three. That's how I think the finish is going to wind up going here. And I think MJF should win the match. Now, if you were going to bring back CM Punk, because a lot of people are like, oh, just save it for the United Center show. You get the most, you get the most out of it that way. That is true, but we already saw that before. We saw CM Punk make the big teary-eyed return in the United Center before. Is it fair to give him this again after given everything that has happened, and to really have this second coming, as it were, of CM Punk coming down to the ring and doing all of this shit again? I think it might be more fun and more impactful is at the end of Double or Nothing when MJF is celebrating his victory. Cult to Personality plays, and out comes CM Punk and basically, lays down a gauntlet there to MJF and says, I'm coming after you. The only problem with that is Collision isn't until June 17th, which gives us like 3 weeks until CM Punk supposedly can be on TV. But I guess the brand extension hasn't been necessarily confirmed. So if Punk shows up at Double or Nothing, that means he's going to be showing up on the next couple of Dynamites, you would think, as well. Maybe the one right here in San Diego, although I don't know if we've sold enough tickets to deserve a CM Punk appearance. But you would think he would have to be on Dynamite to continue whatever's going on with MJF and then maybe move to Collision once it starts. I don't know. My instinct says Punk is not going to be at Double or Nothing, but I feel like it would be a good way to kind of close the show with his return. A little stare down with MJF, perhaps, because you got to think about it realistically. Punk was the champion when he left. He was suspended, but also if he wasn't suspended, he would have been hurt and forfeited the title anyway. So had you not even had All In or Brawl Out, I should say, if the brawl never took place at the scrum and none of that ever went down, Punk would have had to forfeit the title, and he'd just be coming back now anyway, and he would be confronting MJF, you would think. That would be the first guy CM Punk's character should target, is the guy walking around with his championship. So it would make sense that MJF would be who CM Punk targets, and if he does that, then you got a match set in place between those two. But the next pay-per-view is Forbidden Door, and MJF is probably going to be defending the title against somebody from New Japan, I would think, but maybe not. Maybe not. We will see. But I predict that MJF will retain his title in the Four Pillars match at Double or Nothing. So just to recap, Hardy Party over Ethan and the Guns. I got Cassidy retaining in the 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal. I've got Wardlow retaining over Christian Cage. FTR retaining over Jarrett and Lethal. Jade retaining over Taya Valkyrie. Tony Storm to upset Jamie Hayter and win the AEW Women's Championship. Adam Cole over Chris Jericho. BCC over the Elite and Anarchy of the Arena. I have a feeling I'm going to regret that one. And MJF retaining his title over the other three pillars in the main event. There you go. That is my AEW Double or Nothing and Night of Champions predictions. Making sure I didn't miss any other supers. I want to appreciate you guys. I want to thank you guys for being here this afternoon, I should say, because I have to run. This did go exactly 90 minutes like I thought. So now I've got to get out of here and head to work for the night. So I appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with me. As we predicted this show, don't forget we will be here after each one of these pay-per-views this weekend with a full review. The links to both of these reviews are already up on my channel. So join us on Saturday afternoon and we'll be here to review Night of Champions. And then on Sunday evening, we will be here to talk about Double or Nothing. It should be a blast this weekend. I can't wait. So you guys have a great rest of your Thursday night.